Third day of the week, right on time. This is a streak. I think, what is this, the 8th day that we've been right on time? It's pretty damn good. Just pat ourselves on the back. Andy, pat yourself on the back. Thanks. I mean, listen, we're on time. Everyone in the chat, if you go to rumble.com/Hayley, you can watch this show live and in full with all my homies in the chat. They're always early. They're not on time. They are early, like 30 minutes early. Sometimes when I have time, I showed up today for the show 8 minutes before the show started. I was running. But everyone else is there. They're there early. So thank you to everyone that shows up on time and shows up early for this show every night. I appreciate you. And if you want to join them, I urge you to go to rumble.com/Hayley. That is where you can watch Nightly Scroll in full. Hello to everyone watching on X or on Facebook, but you should come over to the good side. It's fun over here. And of course, you can follow me at Hayley Caronia on social media as well. But we've got a good show on deck tonight. 2 House Democrats file articles of impeachment targeting Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and HHS Secretary RFK Jr. We're going to get into all of that and their virtue signaling. Also, House Speaker Mike Johnson is thrilled that Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate. He almost went like evil villain mode in the video, so we'll show you that in just a second. Also, Australia has officially banned social media for kids and some teenagers, although they are getting around the ban in very creative ways. This is why social media bans don't work. So we could just take a page out of their book and not do that here. Also, we have former Secret Service agent and host of the Beyond the Service podcast and Silverlock contributor Scott Bryson on deck for tactical detail 1 day early. So put your phones on Do Not Disturb, Nightly Scroll. And she's a House Democrat, and she wants to impeach HHS Secretary RFK Jr. Here are her reasons. Listen to this.
RFK Jr. has got to go. Today, I introduced articles of impeachment to remove him from office. RFK Jr. has turned his back on science, on public health, and on the American people. Under his watch, families are less safe, healthcare costs are skyrocketing, and life-saving research, including right here in Michigan, is being gutted. RFK Jr. is the biggest self-created threat to our health and safety. I cannot and I will not stand by while one man dismantles decades of medical progress. Enough is enough, and that is why I'm pushing to impeach RFK Jr., to hold him accountable, and to protect the health, safety, and future of every Michigander. Because our health, our science, and our future are worth fighting for.
What does she think is going to happen? Because President Trump is in office. So let's say they impeached RFK Jr. And let's just say that the Republican-held Congress decided to go through with it, which this is not going to happen. He's going to appoint someone else. Like, at the end of the day, this is Trump's cabinet. So just because you don't like someone doesn't mean, like, would Trump abandon Maha and put someone else in RFK Jr.'s spot, theoretically, that would do anything different? I just can't see that happening. I also, I've never heard of this woman. And I know that there are a lot of members of Congress, some of them newer than others, but there are a lot of characters to keep track of. And, this was apparently her during COVID. So if you are unfamiliar with Hayley Stevens like I am, this should just paint a picture of what we're dealing with here. Watch this.
Of their servitude, sharing in the profession with those who have not come before you. Similar times of trying medical need, wars and flus past. You will see darkness, you will be pushed, and our society needs you to stand together at this time. Our country loves you. To our doctors and our nurses, I wear these latex
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman from Maryland is reserved. The gentleman from Texas is recognized. The gentleman from Texas is now recognized.
I mean, she's holding her pink gloves up and she says, "Do not be afraid." Okay.
She sounds like she's directing the world's most terrifying orchestra.
Yep. Yeah. So this is what we're dealing with here. And, none of the Democrats during COVID-19 followed the science at all. I mean, let's just go through it, right? They made, and this is all Democrats, by the way, Republicans really didn't go along with this stuff. I know that President Trump during his first term was, he had Operation Warp Speed and all this stuff. And yes, Fauci was involved. And, we can look back and think of what we did right and wrong, right? But Democrat governors and Democrat mayors, they are the ones that were pushing these tyrannical lockdown measures. And not only that, it was just lunacy. Like, I guess, from the top down, it was 15 days to slow the spread. And I guess we all were just like, this is everyone's first rodeo with COVID-19, right? Everyone was just kind of like, what's going on? So I try to give people a little bit of grace, but even during the pandemic, we started to realize some things that Fauci was saying was just like not adding up. And, then conservatives, and not just conservatives, but just people who like have a brain, were putting things together and realizing like, okay, maybe the mask thing, we weren't right on that. Maybe, painting circles in the grass in New York City and making you sit in the grass outside with members of your household, like maybe that was stupid. And maybe putting arrows on the floor in CVS or whatever in the grocery store, and then you had to walk in different directions. I mean, maybe this was stupid, right? A lot of these things were put forth by Democrats. Then we start to realize none of this is really based in science. It's all just emotion backed. It was backed by their commitment to ripping off the American people. Not only were they shuttering businesses and totally basically making business owners rely on the government, whether it was stimulus checks or PPP loans or whatever. Then we are realizing now that Democrats were in on this. It was just a scheme to steal money. I mean, we saw this with the Somalis in Minnesota. We saw this, multiple Democrats have now been nabbed for this. There was someone in the Virginia House of Delegates, the Democrat from Florida, I forget her name, she's a long name. This is a thing. We're realizing that Democrats were profiting off of the pandemic, and it starts to make sense now when the majority of people were realizing, okay, none of this is making sense. Let's go back to normal. These masks is, Fauci went back on the N95s. Oh, everyone has to wear N95s. Just kidding. The N95s aren't effective. And that wasn't really true. It was just because they were running out of masks and we couldn't get them from China. Like, it was just like a mess. And don't even get me started on the lab leak stuff. It was all a fraud. Just everything was false. It was horrible. We all got duped, and the Democrats were basically making money off of it the whole time. So this is why when a Democrat gets on camera and says, well, we need to impeach HHS Secretary RFK Jr., who stands in opposition to all of the Democrat lunacy that they claim is backed in science, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. I don't want to hear from Democrats about what to do in terms of my health. I don't want to hear from a Democrat who is wearing pink gloves, do not be afraid. I don't want to hear from them. I don't want to hear from the people that made us wear a mask in the restaurant, but then you could take your mask off when you were eating, but then if you got up to go to the bathroom, you had to put your mask back on. Like, I'm not listening to their science. Whatever their science is retarded. So when they want to now impeach RFK Jr., who is now doing actual research on the COVID-19 vaccine and other vaccines and the impact on the body, I'm going to listen to that person. I'm going to listen when we have a society that is sick, uber sick. Like, everyone's fat, everyone has comorbidities, everyone has anxiety, everyone has autism. And it just seems like, you look around and it's like everyone has something, right? Like, we're all just a very sick society. And we have someone in office finally for the first time ever that isn't like bought and paid for by Big Pharma. And they're not trying to rip off the American people in some fraud scheme that they claim is backed by science. It's just total insanity. So, we also have to go into all of the good things that HHS Secretary RFK Jr. has done. He wants to incentivize people to be healthier. We just played this on the show last night. He's in an airport doing 20 push-ups. Like, he's really leading by example. This is a 70-year-old. Is he 70, 71? He's in great shape. This is an inspiration. We should be in our 70s and be healthy and be able to do pull-ups. I felt a little showed up. I'm not going to lie, because I can't do those, and I should be able to do those. So he serves as an inspiration. Andy's laughing at me. I'm working on it. I'm working on my pull-ups and I'm working on my push-ups. No, but I'm serious. Like, he is really setting a good example that we should have a healthier country. I mean, we're one of the world leaders. We should act like it. We should live longer. We should live better. We should live healthier. And he's really taking a stab at big food, big pharma, all these things that they're injecting into our food. He's taking out Red 40 and other dyes in food that is linked to whatever else, hyperactivity in children and things like that. I mean, some parents are removing dyes from their children's food and realizing that, oh, they don't have ADHD. Oh, they don't have, their autism symptoms are lesser now. I mean, it's crazy the things that we have been feeding ourselves, and no one's questioned it until RFK Jr. got in office and made us aware of this stuff. I know some people are aware of it, obviously, but Maha has become so mainstream now, thanks to RFK Jr. I mean, he ran on it as president, didn't win, but Trump, picked him up and said, there is so much good here. Let's continue that good in the Trump administration. But, this woman, Hayley Stevens, wants to impeach him anyway. Why is that? She claims, he's undercutting healthcare programs. Again, this all stems from Doge cuts, where a lot of these programs that were, we're funding circumcisions in Madagascar or whatever. So again, miss me with this stuff, right? I don't really care too much about what was cut. If it was part of Doge, it was probably meant to be cut. Things that American taxpayers shouldn't have been paying for anyway. So yeah, I don't really care what these Democrats have to say. But also, this woman is running for Senate. So I think that probably has more to do with the fact that she wants to have the fact that she tried or attempted to impeach RFK Jr. on her resume. So she gets to virtue signal, use it as a resume builder, and get all the lefties in her state to vote for her. Now, I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name. This guy is all over Secretary Hegseth. Thinator, is that how you say it? Do you guys know? Anyone in the chat want to give me a pronunciation, or you guys want to look it up for me? I don't even know.
Thanidar? No, I don't know.
Thanidar? I don't know. Anyway, this guy, if you're unfamiliar with this congressman, which I don't know how you could be because I didn't even pronounce his name right, but this is the guy who wants to impeach Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. And he's got the craziest toupee and microbladed eyebrows I've ever seen in my life. Hold on. Shri Thanidar. Wait, I'm going to look up pronunciation. I don't know. Let's see. Does it say it? Meet the candidates. No, it's not going to tell me. Whatever. Doesn't matter. But he looks good for his age. He's 70. Thanidar? Okay. So Congressman Thanidar. If you're unfamiliar with this congressman, allow me to jog your memory of this story. So he owned a New Jersey-based pharmaceutical testing company called Anticlin Preclinical Services. And when that company went under, because the parent company went bankrupt, hundreds of beagles and dozens of monkeys were found left in their warehouse, just abandoned, left to starve, left to die. And people who worked at that company knew that the animals were in there. Clearly, they were doing some kind of animal testing. Otherwise, why would 118 beagles be in this, come on. Of course, he denies all of this, but let's just put two and two together. Okay. So 118 beagles were found and monkeys were in there, other animals, and people who worked at the company before it went under knew that the animals were there, and they reportedly jumped the fence to try to save them, bring them food and water. This was all back in 2010. And then those employees alerted some other local groups, and there was a rescue mission taking place to save those animals. This is a video of that rescue mission. Watch.
Today we rescued 120 beagles from a lab in New Jersey that had gone out of business.
Look at these babies.
And some friends of ours at an animal rights organization in New York City went and freed them and said, we need to do something with these animals.
It was just really amazing how things worked out. Just the other day we're like, oh, wait a second. It's 4th of July. They're gaining freedom over Independence Day weekend.
As they come off transport, we're hoping to deworm each dog.
Oh, she clenches her mouth really tight, too, this one.
They're giving them vaccines
and
microchips
each of them so they have permanent identification before going
Look at
into
their faces. Can you imagine they were just left to
that
die?
They have never been outside ever.
I don't think that they've actually had their paws on the grass. When I walked in here, it looked like they were walking on eggshells. They were kind of afraid to walk on the grass.
It's okay.
These are animals that don't understand what being a dog really is. And these are 120 animals that on this 4th of July have an opportunity to be free.
I mean, come on. This breaks my heart. The fact that these dogs didn't even know what it was like to have their feet on the grass because they were in this horrible conditions, left in an abandoned, whatever, like this building. It's horrible. So Thanadar denied responsibility for the poor treatment of these animals at this facility that he owned. And he also said multiple times that no animals were ever hurt or harmed on his watch, which I guess could be true. Like technically, if we're mincing words, maybe they were very well taken care of under his watch and then the company went under and then they were left to die. So again, he's trying to skirt blame, but his name is all over this. So then he goes to run for Congress and wins. So again, thank a Democrat. How do these people run for Congress and win with that kind of a backstory? I don't know. But again, thank a Democrat. So he's now calling for Secretary of War Pete Hegseth to be impeached. And this stems from Hegseth's alleged kill everyone order on those boat strikes in the Caribbean on drug traffickers. And those strikes, 4 strikes, took out 11 narco-terrorists. These are the terrorists that are bringing drugs into our country and killing our people. Again, this is something that the Trump administration ran on. This goes in with their build the wall efforts and to secure our nation and to tamp down on, obviously, the opioid epidemic and drug epidemic in our country. So the U.S. military took 4 strikes, and the first one killed 9 people. 2 survivors were left in the water. And then that second strike was greenlit by Admiral Frank Bradley, and the other 2 survivors were killed. And then the 3rd and 4th strikes sank the ship. So Democrats are all up in arms about these strikes. They're all upset. They keep asking the Trump administration for more details, more clarity, more transparency. The Trump administration has provided at least 13 briefings to lawmakers, bipartisan, on these boat strikes. Democrats not satisfied with it. They want to see the full video of the strikes released. Whether or not the Trump administration is going to do that, we don't know yet. But why? I mean, Democrats are so concerned with protecting drug traffickers, human traffickers, and other criminals. It's just beyond me. Their priority is to be in opposition to whatever the Trump administration is doing. That's it. But that is why Democrats, like this guy, Thanadar or whatever, I don't want to call him a beagle torturer because we don't know for sure, but, all signs are pointing to it wasn't good. This is why he wants Hegseth impeached. And this guy also tried to impeach Trump as well back in April, obviously unsuccessful. And Republicans have the majority in the House and Senate. Impeachment would have to be voted on in the Senate after a trial. Seems to me like this isn't going to go anywhere. So it's just a stunt for Democrats and a virtue signal, which is their specialty. Speaking of stunts, we saw Jasmine Crockett earlier this week run for Senate. She launched her bid to serve Texans in general in the Senate. And here is what Mike Johnson had to say about that. Watch.
Absolutely delighted that Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in Texas. I think it's one of the greatest things that's happened to the Republican Party in a long, long time. She is the face of the Democratic Party. She and Mamdani. Good luck with that. I want her to have the largest, loudest microphone that she can every single day, and we look forward to having that election down there. We are going to elect another Republican senator in Texas. Texas is a red state. The people of Texas are common sense Americans, and what Jasmine is trying to sell will not be purchased by the folks of Texas. That is my prediction. Yes. Thank you. Thanks so much.
I don't know how I recognize Steve Scalise behind him. I know his face, but I don't know his name, the other guy on the left. I don't know how they weren't laughing during that. I mean, Steve Scalise, you could see him like kind of smirking. Jasmine Crockett having a microphone is the best gift to the Republican Party. The speaker is 100% right. The more she speaks, the better it is for us. She provides content to make fun of, obviously. So for me, I love it. But if she's the face of the Democrat Party and they want to put her up and be proud of her and all that she says, that says a lot about the Democrat Party. She may run, her little blue dot in Texas, but she's not running in just a blue dot in Texas 30, her congressional district. She has to win over all Texans. And Texans are red. She is going to have a hard time selling Texans on her Democrat wish list of freebies for black people and anti-Trumpisms and your guns are bad and all that stuff that we went into yesterday. I mean, it's going to be a very, very hard sell.
Can you imagine Midland, the Panhandle, the oil fields, the gas fields?
No.
No way.
No, absolutely not. And Mike Johnson there in that video, he lumped Jasmine Crockett in with Zohran Mamdani. And they are both I wouldn't necessarily put Jasmine Crockett on the same level of democratic socialism, but certainly they're very progressive, both of them. And they're both pushing nonsensical racist policies that would target white people. Because Jasmine Crockett, as we talked about yesterday, wants, reparations where basically black people just wouldn't pay taxes for a certain amount of time. So then obviously all of the freebies that Democrats push that are taxpayer funded would fall on white people or other races that aren't black, which makes no sense because no one alive today in the United States has dealt with slavery or anything like that. So it's totally nonsensical. But Zohran Mamdani, same thing. I mean, he admittedly wants to tax white neighborhoods. Like he wants to tax white people based on race. The Democrats are so racist. It's crazy. And I think, common sense folks in Texas that aren't ruled by white guilt know that this is racist and absolutely crazy and won't work. But a new study from Rasmussen is very concerning. And it is about the majority of voters under 40 that want to see a Democratic socialist in the White House come 2028. A lot of young people are buying into this stuff. I know that I think it's crazy. I know everyone watching in this show, in the chat, I know that we all agree that this is crazy. But we've got a problem on our hands because 51% of likely U.S. voters, these are aged 18 to 39, would like to see a Democratic socialist candidate in the White House in the 2028 presidential election. Which kind of begs the question, like, who? Because Zohran Mamdani is going to be the mayor. Omar Fateh in Minneapolis, he didn't win. But I don't know. It's just, like, who? AOC?
If that's what it took for Newsom to win?
But he's not a Democratic socialist.
He'll do anything to win.
I know, but he's not. He doesn't need help winning over Democrats. He needs help winning over Republicans. So for Gavin Newsom to set himself up for 2028, he's got to play more to the middle and play more to the right, which he was doing on his podcast. He had Charlie Kirk on. He was talking about, this trans stuff is crazy. Like, he knows that if he wants to win the presidency, he's got to win independents over. But to your point, I mean, he does also have to win over these progressive Democrats who think that he's not left enough.
He has to win all of the Democratic Party and the middle of a little bit of the right. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if it takes moving that way to get all of the Democratic Party, I don't know. I just think he's that greasy.
Yeah, but he can't win over the really, really far left Democrats and the middle and the right at the same time. Like, he would just have to flip-flop on almost everything. And yeah, I mean, I mean, who? I guess it would be AOC. She's the only one that would be available, I guess. I don't know.
And she could raise the money to do it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she would have Bernie Sanders behind him and all that stuff. I mean, I guess. It's kind of scary to think about, but anyway, it's a long time to 2028. But here's the crazy part. So 51% think that they would like to see a Democratic Socialist in the White House. 36% say that they don't. 17% are not sure, which is crazy. I feel like in this day and age, everyone kind of knows where they stand politically. There aren't that many people that are like, Democratic Socialism? Like, maybe, I don't know. You know, I mean, you'd have to be really uninformed on either side to not have to not make a decision or not have a stance on it. This is the even craziest part. So they asked why these voters feel that way and how they were influenced to like democratic socialism. 27% say their parents. So I'm bad at math, but I'm assuming that 18 to 39-year-olds, their parents are boomers for the most part. I guess 18-year-olds, their parents are millennials, I guess. So it's millennials and boomers that are teaching their kids about democratic socialism. Then they said 17% said online videos or podcasts. 10% said books. But 54% said their parents or guardians were favorable toward democratic socialism to the best of their recollection when they were growing up. This is crazy to me. Most Americans don't know what it's like, thank God, to grow up in a socialist country. Aside from immigrants who fled those countries to come here for a better life, and you will never hear an immigrant that has fled one of these countries championing socialism or communism because these states fail under that system. Then they come to a capitalist society for freedom, and maybe you can argue that these 18 to 39-year-olds are just privileged. Maybe they don't care to know how socialism turned out anywhere else. Maybe they just feign ignorance. I don't know. They just have this mindset that they're right and it's cool and virtuous and liberal to be pro-democratic socialism. I don't know, because it just like feels good to have everyone have the same stuff, and it sounds good for everyone to have like a leg up, and it sounds good for everyone to be on a level playing field.
You know, the Gen X, 18 to 39, you know, and maybe even a tick older, especially the tick older tier, like they grew up in the age of the rise of social media and Mind Hive. Mm-hmm. And so that you see a lot of that style of content, that message pushed. So that might have something to do to move the needle that way. I
mean, yeah. I mean, it says that if they weren't influenced by their own parents, they were influenced by social media. So totally. But I don't know why their parents are the ones that have influenced them, that socialism worked. It's so odd to me. Like, this is one of the craziest. Someone said, I call bullshit on that poll. Someone said in the chat. I mean, okay. But I don't know. I mean, these are boomers and Gen X and millennials. I never thought that they were this liberal. I always assumed that, 65 and up, they were more likely to vote Republican. And that is changing. We saw this with the Take Down Tesla and to Fight Oligarchy and the No Kings. Like, we see all these older protesters out, and it seems like younger people are trending Republican, older people are trending liberal. I don't know, though. I'd be interested to know if these people were like former Republicans that have switched as they've gotten older. Maybe they were like blue-pilled on something. I don't know what it is, but it would be interesting to know like how many of these people, the older generation that apparently is pro-democratic socialism, if they were always that way or if they had their minds changed in some way. But boomers and Gen Z liberals, like, they're very alike in certain ways. Like, they vote blue no matter who. They're easily triggered. They protest in their free time. It's just very sad to see that generation kind of like lose it. And I'm very hopeful, at least for Gen Alpha. They're supposedly very based, and I mean, they're the future, so I hope that they stay as red as they seem to be. But let's talk about quickly Do we have Scott Bryson on deck? Is he here? All right, so let me just cover one more story before we get into, or maybe should I do, I don't know what to do. Should we do the plane crash? All right, I'll cover all this stuff tomorrow. But there was a plane crash on I-95 in Cocoa Beach in Florida, and this video is crazy. We just have to pull this up. Watch this.
Bro, I have chops, I swear.
Look at this plane. Lands on top of a car.
Oh my goodness.
On the highway, southbound.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
I-95.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. A plane just crashed onto a highway. On a highway right in front of us. Holy wow.
So you were looking at a small Beechcraft 55 airplane. The pilot and its passenger, one passenger, both 27 years old. They were fine. And you saw in this video, they landed on top of a 2023 Toyota Camry on the interstate. And so the pilot and the passenger in the plane, not injured. Then the woman who is in the Toyota Camry, 57 years old, she has minor injuries. She was taken to the hospital, but she is alive and well. Could you imagine? What are the odds that you were driving and a plane lands on top of you? It has to be very, very low. Less than 1%.
And scary.
Very scary. And I'm not trying to victim blame. We talk about this a lot when we have Scott on in the tactical details segment. I'm not trying to victim blame, but don't you think her music must have been so loud she didn't hear a plane landing like right on her? Put your foot on the gas. Get out of the way. I know it's behind her, but like, come on. You don't have you don't look in your rearview mirror when you hear a plane landing on top of your head? Am I crazy for thinking that like this is kind of avoidable? Again, I'm happy that nobody is hurt, but
might be like one of those once in a lifetime reactionary things. I really don't know what I would do if a twin engine plane fell out of the sky on my skull.
I don't know either, and I'm sorry for this woman. I think she got out of that. I read in a article that she got out and she was in good spirits, and she joked that she really liked her Toyota Camry, which is funny. They should like make a commercial around this story.
Yeah, if you can own an airplane, he's probably going to be paying for that Camry.
Yeah.
She's going to upgrade that Camry.
Yeah. So crazy. Anyway, taking a quick break to tell you about our sponsors for tonight's show before tactical detail. First up is Chef IQ Sense. It's the wireless cooking thermometer that takes all the guesswork out of holiday meals. Your roast, turkey, or prime rib comes out perfect every time, turning I think it's done into I know it's perfect. And it even tells you when to flip and when to take it off the heat, how long to let it rest, basically like having a personal chef right in your kitchen. With Chef IQ, you can sip your cocoa and actually spend time with your family instead of hovering over the oven. And the best part is, it's the gift everyone will love. It is perfect for seasoned cooks, kitchen rookies, everyone in between. This season, give yourself and your loved ones the gift of perfectly cooked meals with Chef IQ. And with my promo code SCROLL, you can save 30% off your shipping and get it all done. Go to chefiq.com, promo code SCROLL, chefiq.com, promo code SCROLL. Also want to tell you about Genucel. Ladies and gentlemen, what will be your holiday gift this year? How about looking years, even decades younger, in minutes? Thanks to Genucel. During the Genucel Christmas and holiday sale, save over 70% off their complete skincare package featuring Gen 90 to help visibly reduce the appearance of fine line, wrinkles, under eye bags, even laugh lines around the mouth. Say goodbye to those wrinkles and eye bags that give away your age and get compliments all around the table this holiday season. When you order today, Genucel will include their top-selling Genucel Deep Firming Vitamin C Serum and Genucel XV Anti-Aging Moisturizer in your complete collection package. Treat yourself this holiday for 10 years off your appearance, and everyone will see the difference, guaranteed, or 100% of your money back. That is the Genucel promise. Go to Genucel.com/scroll, Genucel.com/scroll, and shipping is also free. Use my code at checkout, SCROLL, for an extra 10% off. Again, that is Genucel.com/scroll, Genucel.com/scroll. All right, homies, it's time for Tactical Detail. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. I love when we get to throw off the chat and we do our segment on different days. You know, people were getting used to the Thursday. We got to keep everyone on their toes. So I like it.
That's right. We got to keep them guessing.
I love it. So first up, you know, we do a lot of Ring doorbell camera footage on this segment, and that is certainly true for tonight's segment as well. And this first one is very creepy. We've covered similar stories in the past where someone has a creepy, scary Halloween mask on. This guy maybe was a copycat of some sort because these videos go viral, but he had a creepy mask on, creepy messages, leaving them on a Ring doorbell. Let's watch this. So here he is. Oof.
I'll kill your fucking family.
What did he say? I'll tear your family?
I'll kill your family.
Oh, kill your family.
I'll kill your effing family.
Well, he ran up, you know, breathed all scary, and then kind of like a coward ran away. And police are looking into this, you know, this incident. But what does the family do in this situation? Let's say you are home and you get this message on your Ring camera. What do you do if you're home? What do you do if you're not home?
Yeah. If you don't mind, I want to read something just so I don't get it. You know, I don't want to misquote it, but talking about, you know, being able to defend yourself or a third party, you for reasonable belief, you must genuinely and reasonably believe that you or another person is in immediate danger of death or serious physical injury. This means an average prudent person in the same circumstance would feel the same level of fear, but this cannot be something in the future or the past. It has to be imminent or immediate. And immediate means it's happening right now. Imminent means it's about to happen. So you can't just go out there and start blasting this guy. Unfortunately, I'm just joking, but you know, you can't just go out and start shooting up, you know, the neighborhood because of crazy guys on your front porch. You have to. My recommendation to your audience is know the law in the state that you live in. Because last week you touched on, what's the
Stand your ground. Stand your ground.
Stand your ground. Thank you. Stand your ground. I had that pulled up too. Stand your ground. Some states make you retreat and some states don't. I think that the fact that you have to retreat before you can defend yourself is absurd, but there are states out there that require that. So, you know the law in your home state for sure. And then, you know, a wise and prudent person would follow the Second Amendment and have access to a firearm perhaps. But I think the first thing you should do, honestly, whether you're at home or especially if you are at home, you got to call 911. That's what the boys in blue do. I can't tell you how many times I have personally responded to a suspicious person. You know, he's not breaking the law per se. There's black and white, and there's a lot of gray. So just because the person is suspicious, and he did definitely say some nasty things, I think he could be arrested for that.
Right.
But it's not necessarily about arresting the person and getting them adjudicated. It's about your personal safety. So knowing the law, and then don't be afraid. I say this every week, it feels like, but don't be afraid to call 911 and have the guys come out and take a report, because the chances are this guy's done this a couple of other places too.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone in the chat said that this reminds them of the movie The Strangers. Did you ever watch that movie? It came out in 2008, I think, and they just did a reboot this year.
Yep.
So I think a lot of these, I think some of them were inspired by Halloween in general because people wear masks and, you know, it's a way to conceal your identity. But a lot of this might have to do with pop culture references like The Strangers, also The Purge. If you've seen that movie where, you know, it's fictional obviously, but it takes place in the United States and the government basically sanctions a purge where for 24 hours there are no rules and you could just kill whoever you want. Basically, you could rob a bank, you could do whatever, and no one gets in trouble. So that's a scary movie franchise that, you know, I could see people dress up for Halloween like that. The Stranger, same thing. So maybe that's something that is inspiring these. But if you have a Ring camera, I think a lot of them have a capability where you can talk through it at the person. Would you recommend doing that in this situation? You know, whether you're home or not, I think a lot of people can access it through their phone. So could you say, you know, if this guy is like, I'm going to kill your family, and then you say, I've already called the police, is that something that would be good to do? Or are you going to say, I'm armed? You know, is that good or bad to say that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good question. I don't think it's just cookie cutter. I've told my wife this before, like you don't ever pull a gun for a bluff. God forbid you ever have to actually pull a firearm. You're pulling it at the last second because you think, oh my gosh, I don't have any other options.
Right.
However, when you're talking to a person through a Ring camera or the phone or CCTV or even through a car window, it's okay to bluff, right? Because you want to use that verbal judo. That's what we call it in police work, because verbal judo, you want to de-escalate the situation. Sometimes, the best defense is a good offense. So, you need to know your audience, but like you could see by the guy didn't have a very big stature. He didn't have a weapon in his hand. Who knows if he was cracked out or just playing a prank or just a psychopath. But yeah, I think, being direct, we talked about this a couple of episodes ago. Like if you're walking down the street, I like to make eye contact with people. I want to humanize myself. And not only that, but you want to make them think, well, gosh, that sounds like this person might mean business. They might have a dog or they might have a gun, something like that.
Right.
I think that's totally fine.
Okay, good to know. This next one is unfortunately a very real reality of human trafficking. And people might think, oh, well, human trafficking, that's just something that happens, online, or it happens at the border. But this is taking place in communities all across the country. And human trafficking is more prevalent than I think a lot of people would like to admit and a lot of people know. And that's scary. So, this is happening in parking lots, in grocery store parking lots. I know recently I go to a gym locally here, and I was talking to a woman in class, and she said, because, we're in these Facebook groups, local Facebook groups, everyone's town has one. And, in the local Facebook group here, someone had said, I was at a grocery store with my son, and when we finished shopping, we walked outside, and there was like a truck parked like by our car, and we would have been blocked in by the truck. And she said, like, alarm bells went off in my head, and I thought, something doesn't feel right about this. I don't want to get into my car when we're backed in, and there were guys like standing around the truck, and it could have been totally innocent, right? This could have been, someone dropping off a shipment of something to the grocery store. Like, who knows? It could have been totally above water, but what if it isn't, right? So this woman went back into the grocery store, called her husband and said, I would like you to come and pick us up, and we'll get our car another day, and we'll pick it up in the morning or later or whatever. And this next video is a similar situation, and I want to ask you a question about it. So let's play this one. It says trafficking is real. This is at a Kroger.
Thank you. These guys were literally following me in the Kroger.
Following her and her son for 30 minutes in the store.
Get his tag.
Getting his license plate on camera.
Thank you.
Getting their faces on camera. So at the end there's a photo of the guys that were following her around, her and her young son around this Kroger. So this is an interesting situation. So she asked a Kroger employee to walk her out to her car, which I think is an okay option. But tell me if I'm wrong. If someone wants to do harm to you or traffic you or kidnap you or kill you or anything like that, I don't know if walking out with a grocery store employee is going to be enough to deter that kind of criminal activity.
Yeah. No, I think I like the fact that she was bold. I mean, she was calling them out, but I'm like, I think people, and again, I want to be very clear. I am not victim shaming. Thank God nothing happened to her. But like, I think people think that these cell phones are going to save the day because I've got them on video. Well, what if they take you, your kid, and your phone?
Right.
I mean, that's a loser. So, if they followed her around, if she noticed them, that's good. She was in condition yellow. Audience, we talk about that all the time. So if she was in condition yellow and she saw that they were like 30 minutes is a long time, why wait to get a store employee to help you? Like, call the cops. The cops will get it there way under 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Even if it takes them 5 or, again, they're going to respond to a suspicious person. They do it all day, every day. It's fine. We want it to be nothing. But what if, to your point, what if? And you're not out in anything. I mean, the guys are working an 8-hour shift or a 12-hour shift. They have to be somewhere instead of sitting over here in the parking lot, watching YouTube, they can respond to a call. I mean, that's what they get paid to do. So don't be afraid to call for help. I do like the fact that she didn't go out alone. It was a little confusing because I think some of the writing on the screen said she had noticed him for 30 minutes, but then she went back in and I don't know, it was a little confusing. But, the fact that she had her toddler, who's completely oblivious because he's 2 or 3 years old and happy and smiling, they could have grabbed him and her in the phone. And I think she was just a little too brazen for my taste. And again, I'm not trying to be negative toward her. I just let the cops do their job.
Yeah, definitely. So good advice always to call the cops just in case, even if it's nothing, why not? So this next video is from the Blue Line in Chicago, where we've seen in recent it's not just the Blue Line in Chicago. I mean, this is the subway system in New York City. And in Chicago, people are getting lit on fire, stabbed. A tourist was just stabbed in New York City. And these are all by subway stations. So this video you sent over of the subway in Chicago, let's take a look at what that looks like. Homeless people or people just sleeping on the subway, taking up entire seats. I can tell you, as someone who took the subway in New York City for years, you don't sleep on the subway. So if you're sleeping on the subway or on public transportation, likely that is your house.
Just share with me what it's like sleeping on the L trains.
Oh, it's so fucking tiring. Tiring because you got people just going to try to take, I used to work even though I didn't have enough money for a place to stay. I had money here and there, you know what I'm saying? But if you go to sleep, they'll cut your pockets off. I think people come up off naked. So you fight to sleep, right? I went to like 3 days, when I was riding the train. After a while, you get so tired, your neck is going. That's what they're waiting for. This one here, after 12:30, 1 o'clock, it's animal time, baby, here. The people were talking about it a couple months ago. Well, they've had shootings, stabbings. One girlfriend shot dude on stop I got 47.
So here's the scary part. That was just a guy interviewing a homeless guy who sleeps on the subway. As just a commuter, someone who lives in the Chicago area, I felt this way in New York City. You're always kind of in condition yellow when you're on the subway, especially if you're using it to commute or something. I would maybe have my AirPods in, but it was on very low. I could hear my surroundings. I was always awake. And it's scary. And I think what's even scarier is that the homeless people sleeping on the subway are also scared of what happens on the subway. And this guy even saying it's animal time on the subway after, midnight, 1 a.m., this is a very scary reality. And then, if these people on the subway are too afraid to sleep on the subway, then that means that, maybe they're moving out of the city center to, escape that crime. And then they're going to be out in the suburbs. And that's where people move when they don't want to deal with all the city crime and chaos and stuff. So it just seems like this is a problem specifically in Chicago, but also in a lot of these blue cities where this crime issue is not just impacting the law-abiding citizens, but it's impacting some of the homeless community. It's a very scary situation.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, Charlotte, North Carolina, my hometown, is nothing near what New York or Chicago is. We saw what happened to Irina back in September, and I mean, I don't think it was broad daylight, but it wasn't late. It was 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Poor girl just got off work. So these major cities, and I've lived in London too. I lived in London for 3.5 years, and I took the tube everywhere. Some cities are just better than others in terms of policing or keeping it clean, putting up with no nonsense. It gets back to the old school Rudy Giuliani, in my opinion, the broken windows policing in these major cities. Not that the London police were, tough guys necessarily. They don't have guns, but which is a head scratcher. But it's like you have to enforce the small things in order to keep the big things from happening. And these criminals, everybody in society, for the most part, unlike people like you and me and your audience, most of society has become desensitized to violence, and they'll just watch someone get stabbed and hope for the best for themselves. It's absolutely, I feel like we're living in the upside down world. I wouldn't get on public transportation in certain cities unless I absolutely had to.
You brought up the tube in London. I went to London last September, and I was shocked at how clean the tube was. This is coming from someone who was living in New York City and experienced that subway system. I've never been in Chicago, but it's crazy that, these cops, they don't have guns, but at least I don't know. I mean, no one I saw was sleeping on those, not that it doesn't happen at all, but crazy how some cities they can seem to figure it out and enforce it, others they can't. But if you were alone and you were walking on a subway car like that and there were people sleeping all over the place, like what would you say to do in that situation to put yourself in a safer situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to sit here and say in the comfort of my home what I would or wouldn't do, but that's a very good question because, some people don't have a choice. That's what they have to do. What I would do is just evaluate the situation. Go, you know what? I'll just take the next train and then try. I don't know how these people do it. I'm assuming they're toward the back of the train. I don't know. Maybe they're on every car, but maybe take a different line, a green line versus a blue line, and then maybe walk a couple extra blocks if one train's maybe a little safer than the other. I don't know if that makes sense, or maybe sit toward the front where the engineer is up at the front of the train. I mean, every car might be a disaster. I don't know, but it seems to me like the problems would sort of be toward the back of the train, and I don't know if that's accurate or not. But yeah, I would just it's called situational awareness, literally reading the room, get on there and go, oh gosh, this looks like a problem. I might need to take the next train. And we do the same thing in elevators. I know we've talked about this before. We are the only mammal that does it when their spidey senses go off. We just oh, I don't want to be rude. No, get the hell off the elevator. And I don't care if that guy is offended. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Your life is more important than getting home earlier, all that stuff. So that's a great point. But I want to talk to you. These next two videos are about, we talk about a lot, and this goes for everyone, to stay alert and to protect yourself. And I think these next two videos are a good example of how men can be targets too. So this first one shows a guy, he is at his barber shop. He is trying to get in. It's one of these situations where you have to kind of call to get let in. And these guys pull up on him. So let's watch this. So here's this guy, he's heading to the door. And here he is buzzing into his barber. And you see two guys following him. 3 guys. And who knows what they're planning.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Now there's multiple guys.
I'll be there just a second, man. I'm in the bar. No, take your time.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
What's up, what's up? I'll be there just a second, man. I'm in the bar. No, take your time.
So if you're listening and not watching, the guys disperse once they hear that there's someone on the other end of that Ring camera answering the door. So the guy who wants his haircut at the barbershop rings the doorbell, and he's sitting there waiting. These guys pull up, and they're just kind of congregating around. I don't know what they're waiting for to do, but as soon as the guy answers, hey, I'll be right out. Hey, give me a minute, they leave.
Yeah. So the guy did a couple things I liked. He sort of seemed like he noticed him pretty quickly, at least the one guy at the top of the stairs. He seemed like he noticed him pretty good.
Right.
And he sort of bladed off. He didn't have his back all the way to the door, but he was sort of bladed off on a 45-degree angle. I thought his situational awareness was pretty good, except for put your phone up, dude. Like if it's go time, you're gonna need both of your hands to throw knuckles, right? But he had that phone out texting somebody. I would have put the phone up, and me personally, and I'm not suggesting that just because I would do this that everybody watching your show should do this. You have to know what your abilities are. But I would have confronted the guy. I would have made eye contact with him, and I would have been like, "What's up?" And try to engage him, in not in a confrontational way, but I would want him to know that I know you're watching me. And of course, it's a dude, so they didn't want to go mano y mano, so that's why there's 2 or 3 guys, because okay, this guy is maybe a stronger guy or whatever. So they're generally cowards, but they're going to run in packs, and they're going to try to distract you. We saw the first guy tried to distract him by asking him a question, and they didn't even look like it was pretty coordinated, because they didn't even look like they were together. At first, I thought it was 2 guys, and then as the video played out, you could tell there was a 3rd guy kind of circling the back.
Yeah.
So I think he did a pretty good job overall. I would have probably put my phone up and gotten into a more of a defensive stance and a little bit more
do you think
confrontational.
Do you think that they were targeting him personally, or did they think that maybe because he was taking steps down into this kind of vestibule that he was kind of an open target?
Yeah, I mean, they're most of these criminals, not all, because we've seen the violence, like with the Charlotte Light Rail we referenced. I mean, like some of these guys are just going to be violent regardless for no reason, but a lot of them are cowards, and they're looking for crimes of convenience. Like we talk about locking your door. Most of these criminals that are stealing from you during the daylight, they're flicking door handles. They're not busting out windows in the Walmart parking lot with a crowbar. Well, same thing on the street. They're looking for a crime of convenience, and they're going to try to strong arm this guy and pull a knife on him at the last second or hit him with something. I think to me it looked like it was more like a petty theft type of crime, like I'm going to steal your wallet type of thing. But or maybe they were going to try to piggyback and get inside the building and go rob the barber. It's hard to say, but I think the guy did a pretty good job overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And thankfully there was someone at the other end of the doorbell, and he had somewhere to go. And I'm hoping that he got let in there and got his haircut as he wanted. This last video is another one of these men can be targets too, men can be victims too kind of videos. And this happened in South Africa, but this is something that you wouldn't expect. This guy is riding a bike. I don't know what these are called. What are these bikes that are low to the ground like that? I don't know what they're called. Like, it's not a tricycle. What is that? Anyway, we'll play the video and someone in the chat will tell us. But this guy, he gets run up on by some kids with a machete. Watch this.
Hello. It's been a while since I had somebody running after me. A kid with a handsaw. Interesting.
These guys are on bikes, and then they're on foot, and he's got a handsaw. People in the chat are making jokes that they're called sissy scooters. It's a recumbent bike. I thought a recumbent bike was like a stationary bike, but maybe I'm wrong. So this is low to the ground. It is a recumbent bike. So
hey, good for
anyway,
you, buddy.
Good for this guy. But okay, what happens if you're on a recumbent bike and kids run up on you and they have a handsaw and they're chasing after you and your legs are tired?
First of all, don't do that. Take a page out of Lance Armstrong's book and ride a real bike, first of all, because it's probably going to be faster to get away. But I think what was interesting for me, he goes, it's been a while since I've been chased or something like that. I'm like, that's not normal, dude. And then he looked like he was trying to pedal pretty hard, but he wasn't going anywhere very fast. So, I don't know. That was kind of a weird little video. I thought it was kind of funny because it worked out well. But it's like he had some situational awareness because he noticed them, but he was almost like he was so nonchalant about it. I couldn't figure out what kind of
maybe because he thought that they were kids. Like he was like, I could get out of this recumbent bike and take him if I needed to. But I mean, they were armed. He had a handsaw.
Well, I'm glad you said that because I was thinking that today. Like if I was riding one of those, which I wouldn't, by the way, but if I was riding one of those
for the record,
no judgment zone, but I wouldn't be on that. But yeah, Scott Bryson would be getting off of that thing right quick. And like, I'm a grown man and you're 2 teenagers. If you want to do this, let's do it, but you're not going to get me from behind. That's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. This is, and then, I'm thinking, cause not only is he riding pretty slow, but he's also filming. I think he would probably ride a little faster if he was less focused on filming the guys behind him and, you know, putting his hands on the handlebars and really going for it. But
what? And didn't he say something like, "This is interesting"? No, brother, that's not the word I would use.
Yeah.
This is a problem.
Totally agreed. Yeah, he was. What's the opposite of condition yellow?
Oh, white.
Yeah.
Completely oblivious.
Condition white. Let's not do that. Everyone in the chat, no condition white. If there are people chasing you in a handsaw, best to get to step in. But Scott, thank you so much for joining me for Tactical Detail. Yeah. I absolutely love this segment, and we'll do it again next week.
Okay, have a great night.
You too. And thank you all for watching this episode of Nightly Scroll. I promise you I will make it up to you, and we will do scrolling time tomorrow and get to all the stories that I had planned for you tonight. Then, always a good show, and I promise to have great content for you every night of the week, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, rumble.com/Hayley. Make sure that you smash the subscribe button, smash the like button, follow me on social media, send the link to a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.